Hi, fans of hockey. That's right. I don't talk about hockey on my YouTube channels very often, although I think I did do maybe one video on hockey a few years back. And I thought, this is just for the hockey fans out there. I did make a community post to see who was interested, and it was maybe 55% of you. So if you do have a love for hockey, please, you know, if you watch this video, please leave a comment below at the end and let me know if you know a lot more of these players than I do, which is the main premise of this. I'm going to go through the list and just try and guess some of the players I know, and I'm going to also try and guess what team they played on. So my story with hockey is my dad, I remember my dad always watching hockey, the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I had no interest in hockey. But I'd say about 1972, 58, yeah, when I was like 13, 14 years old, I started to play road hockey and I really enjoyed it. And maybe before that, the, the big thing that got me hooked on hockey was I remember, I think it was 1972, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they were just scoring so many goals. And they ended up beating the Detroit Red Wings 13 nothing. And so maybe that's where I started having an interest watching hockey. And then I was playing road hockey soon after that with my friends. And I loved playing road hockey, although I can't skate. And I was a big, big fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs for many, many years. And I finally gave up on them around the time they traded Wendell Clark and yeah, David Gilmour. And around that time, I gave up. So maybe around 2010, if that makes any sense. But like I said, I watched every game that was on TV for many, many years. So I'm going to start at 100 all the way to number one. And just, if I don't know the player, I'm not going to say the name. So the first one that stands out is 98, Guy Lapointe. He played defense for the Montreal Canadiens. And let me know if I get any of these wrong. I'm sure you will. Number 96, Johnny Busick. He was a goalie. And I know he was a goalie for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I think won the Stanley Cup in 1967. 94, Pat LaFontaine. Sounds familiar. I believe he played, I'm going to guess, Pat LaFontaine. He played for the Pittsburgh Penguins. 93, Mark Howe. That's Gordie Howe's son, of course. I'm pretty sure he played with Gordie Howe. And so that would be the Detroit Red Wings, possibly. Unless it wasn't even in the NHL when he played with his father. Bob Gainey. And I'm just thinking of, there might be more than one team that they played with, but at least get one of the teams right, hopefully. Bob Gainey, he played for the Montreal Canadiens. So next up, Alexander Moglini. Sounds kind of familiar. Was he not the one for the Washington Capitals that he played for? Rob Blake sounds familiar. I'm not sure what team. Billy Smith was the goalie for the New York Islanders. Dennis Savard and Serge Savard played for the Montreal Canadiens. Dennis Savard, I'm pretty sure he played for the Toronto Maple Leafs at some point. Daryl Sittler, he was my hero in the 70s. He was the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Love Daryl Sittler. Ed Belfour, he was the goalie for the Edmonton Oilers and later the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm 68 years old and I still have a partial memory. Okay. And please remember to like the video if you enjoy this sports related video. Okay. Don't know any of those. Going up to 75, 76. 71 is Grant Fuhrer. Fuhrer. He played, see, maybe I'm getting him confused with that other goalie. He played for the Edmonton Oilers and then later for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay. Gene Rattel, he was the captain, wasn't he, for the Montreal Canadiens? Gilbert Perreault, he was I believe, the captain of the Buffalo Sabres at 68. Mike Gartner, he played for the New York Islanders. Doug Gilmour, he played for Calgary, and then later he was awesome with the Toronto Maple Leafs, captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Don't know any of those. Matt Sundin at 61. Of course, he played for the Toronto Maple Leafs and was the captain. Loved him. Brendan Shanahan. He sounds pretty familiar at 59. Detroit Red Wings. All right. Peter Stastny sounds familiar. I'm not sure what he played for. Dale Howard Chuck at 55 played for the Winnipeg team, Winnipeg, whatever they were called back in the 70s. Borja Salming, of course, he was the awesome defenseman for the Toronto Maple Leafs for many, many years. Brad Park, 53, played for the Boston Bruins defense. Mike Modano sounds familiar, possibly New York Islanders. Bernie Parent, he was the goalie for the Philadelphia Flyers, and I think before that he was the goalie for the Toronto Maple Leafs at some point in the early 70s. Or was that later on? I'm confused. Stan Mikita, the great captain of the Chicago team, whatever they're called, Chicago Golden Hawks, is it? Tony Esposito, Phil's brother, was the goalie for the Boston Bruins at number 44. Ron Francis sounds familiar. Luke Robitaille, is that how you say it? I kind of remember him, not sure what team. Yari Curry, big superstar, but I forget what team he played for. Eric Lindros, he kind of, because of injuries, had a short career. And I did actually meet him at a signing with Gordie Howe years ago. No, I didn't. I met Gordie Howe and Bobby Hull. That's it. Eric Lindros was he the captain of the Philadelphia team? Al McInnes sounds familiar. Pavel Bure sounds familiar. I just don't know what team. I don't remember. So going into the final list here, Sergei Fedorov sounds familiar. Bobby Clark, he was the captain of those mean and nasty Philadelphia Flyers who won 2 Stanley Cups in a row. Chris Chelios, one of the stars from I think the late 70s, early 80s. Not sure what team though. Brian Trottier played for the New York Islanders. Peter Forsberg, was he Philadelphia Flyers? Ken Dryden, the great goalie for the Montreal Canadiens. And did he play for the Toronto Maple Leafs for like a season or something? I don't know. I'm just thinking that. Larry Robinson, defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens. Teemu Selanne, he sounds familiar. I'm not sure what team. Brett Hull, Bobby Hull's son. I forget what team he played for. Brett Hall. And he was good. Did Brett Hall. Chicago? I don't know. Let me know. Let me know in the comment section below if anybody's watching this. uh, Martin Brodeur, I believe he was a goalie, not sure which team. Dennis Potvin, I believe he was a defenseman, not sure what team. Paul Coffey, he played for the Edmonton Oilers, as did Mark Messier. Steve Yzerman was the captain of the Detroit Red Wings for many, many years. Guy Lafleur was the awesome player for the Montreal Canadiens for many years. Joe Sakic, I've heard of him. I'm familiar with him. I'm just not sure which team. I don't remember. Mike Bossy, he played for the New York Islanders. Patrick Roy was the goalie for the Montreal Canadiens. Ray Bourque, I remember him. Did he play for the Boston Bruins? Bill Esposito, he played for the Boston Bruins. Nicholas Lindstrom, not sure which team. New York Islanders. I just say New York Islanders. Dominic Hasek sounds familiar. Alex Ovechkin, he sounds familiar. Was that the Washington Capitals? Yarmer Yager, remember him with the long hair and oh, which team though? He played for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Guaranteed, I think. And Sidney Crosby, I think that's around the time when he came into the league. That's when I think I started to lose interest. Sidney Crosby, which team does he play for? I don't know. Sydney. I should know. I'm going to guess Detroit Red Wings. Bobby Orr played for the Boston Bruins. He was a defenseman and one of the greatest players ever. Mario Lemieux played for the Pittsburgh Penguins and he was the captain and he was awesome until, injuries, of course. And then I've never heard of Wayne Gretzky. Just joking. He was the captain of the Edmonton Oilers. And that is it. I've rambled enough. So if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comment section below and let me know if you know more players than I do or less. Or just remember, I'm 68. And like I said, I watched hockey from the early 70s into maybe the 2010s, if that. So bye. Looking forward to a comment or two. Bye.